The Falkland Islands, or Islas Malvinas, are an archipelago of 740 islands in the South Atlantic with rugged terrain, cliff-lined coasts, and spectacular wildlife. They are one of the most remote islands in the world, and I've spent the last 3 days here on our Hurtigruten expedition. Up until this morning, I had thought the Falklands were only natural landscapes and wildlife, which, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of stunning beauty here. But after spending all day touring around the main town of Stanley, just walking around Stanley, enjoying the day, I quickly learned that a civilization does exist.
Thank you.
There are about 2,200 residents in Stanley alone, and roughly 3,300 in the entire country. To me, Stanley feels like a small village in England, even though I'm more than 8,000 miles from the United Kingdom. And that's because the vast majority of Falklanders are descendants of British settlers who first came here in the early 19th century. The currency is the Falkland Island pound, which only works here. They speak British English with even a thicker accent than you can imagine. They love fish and chips, and there are several pubs where you can grab a pint of local beer. I mean, look how British this pub is.
I'm drinking London Pride, but you got the Isle lady.
Their flag has a small British flag in the corner. There are double-decker red buses. They have red telephone booths. They drive on the left side of the road, and their license plates look like this. I didn't notice any traces of an indigenous culture. Stanley is one of the smallest capitals in the world. There is one bank with no ATMs, and one newspaper called the Penguin News. There are no McDonald's, no Starbucks, or any other recognizable chains. The streets are narrow, with no advertisements or traffic lights, because traffic simply doesn't exist. That being said, I did see a variety of supermarkets, souvenir shops, restaurants, tourist centers, and I heard there's even a golf course. It's quite interesting if you ask me. As you can see, it's an extremely peaceful life here in the Falklands, and the people are very kind.
Welcome to the Falkland Islands.
But on the other hand, the politics are not so peaceful. The sovereignty of the Falkland Islands is an ongoing dispute between the United Kingdom and nearby Argentina. Here's a short history recap. Britain established rule here in 1833, but Argentina has always maintained claim to the islands as they're just 500 kilometers east of their shore. On April 2nd, 1982, a war broke out when Argentina invaded and occupied the Falklands in South Georgia. 3 days later, the British showed up on ships and fought a bloody battle over 10 weeks, mostly on these mountains, that killed nearly 1,000 people and ultimately left Argentina surrendering. In a 2013 referendum, 99.8% of Falklanders voted to remain a British territory overseas, since they are mostly descendants of the British. How many generation Falklander are you?
5. Oh, I'm 4. My sons are 5 generations.
And
I'm a native. This is my country. I don't belong anywhere else.
But a conflict still exists with Argentina today. Anyways, let's talk more about the culture because I find it fascinating. I already told you how British it feels here in Stanley, but let's take a look deeper. What kind of jobs do Falklanders have? Well, lots, since unemployment is less than 1%. But most jobs are seasonal, like growing vegetables and sheep spearing to make and sell wool. There are 160 sheep for every one person. Many others have governmental jobs, like working in the airport, at the city council, or as a public school teacher. The Falkland Islands are truly one of the most interesting places I've ever visited, and I enjoyed every minute I spent here. I hope you get the chance to visit someday and see what it's like. Later. I'm Drew Binsky, and if you like my travel videos, please click subscribe and join me as I plan to visit every country in the world.